Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So yesterday we were talking about determination. Do you remember that? That whole topic, tenacity, holding on, resilience, really, and just never quitting on yourself. We talk about that all the time. But one of the things, I was looking at it like a chain of events. Like, how does this whole thing happen? Because the mind shift that you make is you start with one thing and then you work to the other and you work to the other. And there's a connection between the two things, between the three things, between the five things even. We see this all the time. And what we have to do is understand how it all works. We have to start with the thought first. And from the thought, we have to make a plan and we have to start putting habits into place and all of that stuff. But it's not just a matter of I'm just going to do this. It's not like you can just say, so I'm going to drive to the gas station, put gas in the car, go get the car washed and come home, because that's easy. I mean, that's doable, right? It's just, there's really no ifs, ands, or buts. We don't have a discussion. We don't have a struggle in our head. None of that. However, when it comes to changing our habits, there's a lot of action going on in here, right? And a lot of, I don't know if I can do that. That's too hard. Oh boy, the struggle bus, and da-da-da-da-da, and on it goes. But what I found is that the persistence that we make, the determination that we make for ourselves, and when that is ironclad, then we know that success is going to follow. But the secret ingredient to that whole thing is the willingness quota. Right? The willingness part of the quota. Without that, you can't have any of it. If you're not willing, if you're not saying, well, I'm never going to give up, I'm always going to have my coffee with my coffee mate. Well, okay. But you might not get to the next side of things. If you're going to hold your ground and stay where you are and stubbornly dig your heels in and be arrogant enough that you think you know everything, you're going to stay just where you are. It's not going to change for you. Willingness is what brings in the success. Willingness opens the door to the determination and brings in all the other things. It is a huge buffet table of wonderfulness, but it can't be if you're unwilling. It can't be if you're unteachable. It can't be if you're pushing back on everything and saying, yeah, but. Yeah, buts don't belong in your vocabulary anymore. They absolutely mow you over and take you down. So you have to look at this whole thing. There's no need really for an epiphany. We don't have to have an epiphany moment. It can happen, but we can have a series of cosmic 2x4s. That's when we talk about, this cup is a cosmic 2x4. Don't get mad about the results you didn't earn from the work you didn't do. Duh, right? But cosmic 2x4 because, so I'm griping and moaning and complaining and talking to anybody who'll pass by about not getting results when I wasn't fully 100% in. Really? That's what we got to be looking at. Those are the things that we got to be looking at. So I want to say one thing before I get started really on going through this, and that is, who we are always shows up in what we do. And Sadie is, you can learn so much from the 6-year-olds. Sadie is Amber's daughter, and she made this beautiful little 2 pictures for Leanne Ely, she said, and she wrote it in pretty cursive and made this picture and had a little message for me. And I'm telling you, I'm sitting here trying not to bawl my eyes out. And she is so kind. We can learn from a 6-year-old how to be kind, how to speak from our hearts, and how to be a beautiful human being. That's Sadie. And that's going to grow with Sadie as she gets older. Yeah, makes me cry. But, we can instill that. I'm really tired of little girls being told to be princesses and all that. And yeah, sure, they want to dress up and everything. But, I was really disappointed in the whole white horse prince theory. Very disappointed. But you know what? When I finally understood that I am enough, and the kindness that we knew as 6-year-olds can come back and can come back to us and resonate and live inside of us when we make the decision that it will. And when we're willing to allow that part to be, to be. Well, Sadie is lovely. Sadie is a beautiful little girl just spilling over with wonderment of the world and with people and daring to be kind, daring to put it all out there, daring to be to love and to be loved, and this is how we need to be. This is why we need to always be looking for opportunities to be in full bloom. So we have to look at, cosmic 2x4s. We have to look at holding things too with just a light grip, not putting all of our eggs in that one basket, not being, it has to be this, or, therefore I'm just going to, swoon over and pass out, kind of a thing. My son is on his way right now with his dad to go get a car. And, hopefully they've got like 3 or 4 of them. He's saved, he's done a really good job as, with this commercial money that he's making and all the things. He's just been really, kids do this. They turn the corner and they make decisions like, I am going to step into this. I am going to be better than I've been before. It's never about that you're not enough. It's about, we all need to improve on something, right? It's not that, we can't identify with the things that we do as who we are. We identify with the things of our mistakes of the past. We made mistakes. So, okay. And isn't that just part of the human equation? Get up, let's go on to the next thing. Who you are has nothing to do with what you do. If you've made mistakes, then learn from them. Otherwise, it's back to that whole thing of being unwilling. Unwilling means arrogant, unteachable, smarter than, it's not, we don't want that. We don't want that. That's full on half-assery, by the way. And we want full on back-assery, don't we? We want to step into the very best that we can possibly be. Being willing opens the doors. Being willing makes the whole world, it's a buffet table and you get to eat from it. It's all Sprint approved. Don't worry about it. It's a whole different thing. So how do we get to this place then? How do we get to this place of not needing epiphanies, allowing the cosmic 2x4s to do their thing, and at the same time holding everything with a light hand? Well, like Peter in the car, when you hold on to something so tight and it's got to be that, or it's got to be whatever, then you're willing to take on all the things that it also could be, which means you can get whopped upside the head with a 2x4 in the way of, this car has all kinds of problems. This car isn't going to work. Peter's evolved from that whole thing and now is seeking counsel. He's being careful. He's being, not too impulsive. And that takes time. It takes energy. It takes willingness and determination to do this. It's hallmarks of adulthood. It's hallmarks of a mature heart. It's hallmarks of being the very best that you can be. It opens you up to the next level of what life has to offer. That's vibrancy. So how do we do this then? How do we step into this place of willingness so that we can find our success, so that we can bring in the determination to get through and get the things in our lives that we really want in there? Well, number one, you got to get your hands dirty. There's so much marketing schmutz out there. Am I right? So much stuff. And I see these commercials all the time. And I say a silent prayer. I hope none of my ladies get sucked into this because, I look at you are my lovelies, and I don't want anybody or any marketer or anybody to come between you and your vibrant life. And there's a lot of scams out there. They want to tell you it's easy. Oh, it's just all you have to do, lose weight in your sleep. And I mean, you technically do lose weight in your sleep, but take this pill, stay up for 3 days in a row. All this crap that's out there that doesn't do a thing to support the vibrant life you want to lead. And it also narrows the focus to the only thing that you're good for is the size of your jeans and the color of your lipstick, and nothing that means and says and supports who you are as the vibrant woman that you are. None of it does. So you got to get in there. You got to get your hands dirty, because it's not just about being inspired. It's not just inspiration. It's also perspiration. Get your hands dirty and don't be afraid. Yeah, the risk is there. Always the risk. And your amygdala, you know, that part of your brain that's always going to say to you, oh my gosh, this is different and new, and I don't want to do it. I'm so scared. Forget about it. Let it go and just say, I'm going to do it anyway. And doing it anyway absolutely fires up the dopamine and the serotonin. Those are the chemicals in your body that make you feel good, like right after exercise. And you know how you didn't want to exercise, you did it anyway, and afterwards, man, you're not just feeling the burn, but you're also feeling the pride of doing this and how good it feels inside your body. You know, people who are depressed, they've got studies out there that show you exercise, you're not going to be depressed. We always go for the pill bottle first, don't we? We go to the prescription pad, we go see the doctor, and they want to load us down with all this stuff, with all these side effects, including weight gain, right? That's depressing. Why don't we try some natural stuff first? Why don't we try working with our body first? I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but this is absolutely the truth. Well, Vicki, I love you being my lovely. I'm so glad you're in my circle. Thank you so much for that comment. That's sweet. Number 2 is you got to choose your future self over your current self. You know, currently, usually when we start, we have this comfort zone, and that's the thing we head to instead of what the future holds. When we see the future, it's scary. You know, it's different. It's requiring different things from us. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to go first. You know, there is a little preparation. It's like getting ready for the sprint, right? I ask you to get ready for it. And by the way, the new sprint, it's all been redone. If you haven't seen the document yet, it's got a shopping list in it. It's got everything. So be sure you go to savingdinner.com/sprint and get your new guide. And while you're there, watch the webinar, because it's going to help you set up for success. You know, the more you know, the better you do. That's how it works. But your future is all about what you do today. You cannot have, you know, you can't, it's sort of like this. This is what we do. It's, we have a high school reunion. Oh my gosh, I've got a high school reunion. We do all these weird fad diets. We take diet pills that keep us up for 3 days. We're, you know, practically on the verge of an eating disorder, just so that we can look good in this one dress to go to this one occasion. And what is that? So that's your future self for a one evening. And then what happens next? Everything falls apart. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Priority mail, right? It does. And you gain that weight back, and then and a few friends too, because that's not what works. Future self depends on what your daily self is doing continually, continually, continually. And this is the whole thing. I want you to start thinking about, what does my future self look like? My future self has a nice way. I'm where I want to be. I'm comfortable. I'm not a slave to the number on the scale. You're a slave. You know, you are absolutely contained and hooked and chained, if you will, to your thoughts, to your ideals, to your perception of today, of your future, not your future self. Your future self becomes your today self. That's what I want to see for you. And when we have those kind of eyes, we can have that happen. So we talked about this, all of this stuff, but the future self is very much dependent on what you're thinking about today. Because if you think you're a victim, you are. If you think you're going to get, you know, screwed over, or you think that somebody's trying to take advantage of you, you think that it's all about, you know, fill in all those negative blanks, then it is. You can project the things that you want to see. It's like buying a car. When you decide, my son's trying to buy a Honda Element. So let me just tell you something right now. His reticular activating system is filled up with Honda Elements. They're everywhere. Everywhere he looks, Honda Elements. Sees them online, looks at them online, and sees them in town. You think he doesn't notice them? You notice the things that you want to bring into your life. You do. So when you make a decision to turn off the negativity and turn on the positivity for the things that you want, bada bing, bada bang, bada bing, things start to go off, and you start to connect those dots. You can't help it. You can't help it. So remember, what you're thinking about, you are always bringing about. And this is imperative for what your future self is going to be all about. Number 3, got a new one for you. You've heard me talk about this. My mother was the absolute, I think she was the queen of hand wringers. Anything would set her off. She was worried, and worried some more about everything. It didn't matter. I mean, if one thing was out of place, it was, oh my gosh, what are we going to do about this? And she overly emoted over everything. I seriously am surprised she didn't keel over from stress in her 50s. She was just that person and overreactive. And then we add in, and I used to see this all the time with my mom and dad when, my mom and dad had an awful marriage and, I was a witness, the silent sulking. So you've got hand-wringing, overreaction, and silent sulking. And I say to you about all of that, if that's you, don't apply. Just understand you don't get to step into a whole new self if you're going to live like that. If those are the choices that you make, you can dump the hand-wringing anytime, because guess what? God's in control of all this stuff anyway, right? Hand it over and stop the hand-wringing. Overreaction, bring it down, sister, because when we overreact like that, we're setting on fire our immune system. Did you know that? Because cortisol soars. And when cortisol is present, that is a stress hormone. And it does all kinds of reactive damage right throughout your body. So that's not going to help. And then that begats other stuff. And then the sulking, that is anger turned inward. Can you imagine that's like the deadliest target trifecta ever. That's just going to take you down. So these are things that do not serve, right? They don't serve, and they will interrupt and stop you every time. You will not get the vibrant life you want if you want to hang on to these things. So let it go. Let it go. Start flipping it, giving it up, taking your reactions down, and just start thinking, I'm sure he didn't mean to do that on purpose. Let's tap it down. It's okay because this is how I feel about myself. We're just going to let it go. One of the tricks that I have used in the past for stuff when I really want to go, ballistic and my head's about to explode is I purposely talk it down and just say, well, you know what? That's an opportunity. That's something that can happen. And try not to get passive aggressive about it. Try not to get so reactive. We don't have to lose our minds. We don't. We just make a choice to find other outlets. And then the last thing, of course, the sulking thing. Come on. We're grown-ups. We use our voice. When we use our voice and we do it in a way where we have the control, and we're not talking to someone, say, you made me, because nobody made you do anything. You just say, when this happens, this is how I feel. When this is going on, I feel hurt. It's because it's not about what anybody did. It's about how you feel. And just say, you know what, maybe, and I said this to Mark a long time ago, maybe this is inappropriate. Maybe I haven't dealt with some of this abandonment stuff that I've had to deal with throughout my life. Maybe that's what all of this is connected to. But this is how I'm feeling right now. Because there's nothing wrong with acknowledging how you feel. That's using your voice. And it's also connecting to the reality of the situation. It's not denying who you are and what you're feeling. That's how we deal with these things. The silent sulking, come on. Let's grow up and let's be the vibrant women we want to be. And number 5 is you are capable even when you don't feel like it. You are. You are so capable, so much stronger than you think you are. Everything about you, you just haven't discovered it yet. Did you know that? Is that exciting or what? We have to check in with our self-esteem a little bit. We have to remember who we are, whose we are, why we were created in this first place, why we're here. What is our purpose? And why would I purposely be put on this planet right now at this time? Think about that. Just ponder that for a minute. You're not here to take up space and breathe air. You're here on purpose. And the gloriousness of this whole thing is getting to find out what it is. We're all here to help one another in some form or fashion. I believe that with all of my heart. But the next step is finding out the creative, unique way that you are get to do that. You get to show up in your life. And as you show up, you bring other people with you. And you can love them up. You can bring them everything that you've got. You can be the very best version of yourself when you make a decision to do so. We are not just, it's not too late for anyone. You're not too old. You're not too set in your ways. None of that stuff. And this whole, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Come on. I might be getting a puppy, but I know a thing or two about dogs. So thank you for today. And thank you for being with me. It was really a pleasure. And Sadie, if you're still listening, I love you. You're the best. And thank you so much for all of you for showing up every single day. Pinkies up. Share this video, would you? If you've got people in your life that need to hear this message, there is someone. Share it with them, would you? Bring them into the Hot Melt Sprint, and let's become the bigger community that we really need to be. I feel really called to do this, and I know you do too. So let's bring them all in. Let's love them up as best we can, and let's go out there and change the world. We have that power. Pinkies up. Peace be with you. I appreciate you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.